And as we head into 2021, most businesses have seen and continue to witness massive change in their sales functions. We've heard a lot about that over the last couple of days, from increased automation to the rise of virtual and digital selling practices, to ensuring that sales operations has a seat at the table, dealing with the multiple issues around remote working. Sales is undergoing huge transformational shifts. And according to our next speaker, dealing with those shifts requires new skill sets, new tools, and new ways of thinking. The question is, where do you start? What does a top seller really look like in this brave new world? And how do you motivate people to do their best work? Let's find out as we say hello to our final speaker for the day. Here to talk about the changing world of sales, please welcome someone who is passionate about coaching, motivation, and helping professionals take their game to the next level. The inspirational Larry Long Jr. from LLJR Enterprises. Larry, many thanks for joining us.
Cheers. What's going on, Ben? Great to see you. Happy to be here.
Great.
Good morning, everyone.
Great to see you too, Larry. Lovely to meet you again. And wonderful to have you back up here on the virtual stage with me. I hope you're keeping well.
All is well. All is well. Fortunate to be here with everyone.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, Larry. So listen, we're going to be talking a little bit today about, I guess, how to motivate people, what this changing sales landscape looks like, and what sales leaders can do to address some of that change. So I guess the obvious place to start is there. You know, we've seen a lot of change. I referenced some of it there. We've been talking a lot about it the last couple of days here at this summit. But what for you are the kind of the most critical shifts that we have seen over the course of the last 12, 14 months?
Yeah, well, that's interesting, Ben, because we've seen shifts and we can expect to see more shifts. So we've really got to be flexible. And everyone knows that, but really it's executing. And as leaders, we've got to execute. We've got to put on our thinking caps, get creative. And really, I'm going to hammer home two things. The first one is care. And we all know that we've got to care for our clients, care for our customers, care for our prospects. But I'm going to flip the script and say, are you caring for your employees? And we all say that we do, but essentially, show me what you're working with. How are you showing your employees that you care about them, your sellers that you care? Are you putting in the time, the energy, the resource? Because there's a saying that goes, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that comes from our actions. And as we go through this transformation, your sellers want to know, do you care? Can I trust you? And then the second one is the race for talent is heating up. So what are you doing, number one, to make sure that you keep your top sellers on your team and they don't look elsewhere? And then number two, how do you attract brand new talent? And as we look at this whole wide world, there's an opportunity that's presented to get some top-notch sales talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And those two things are very much linked, the war for talent and, of course, you know, what you're doing to motivate and to care for your employees. So let's maybe start there. You referenced it yourself, Larry. This is something that everybody talks about, how much they care about their employees, how well they look after them, how much they mean to them, that they are a people-centric organization. I think we probably can both admit that sometimes that is lip service, perhaps, or maybe companies haven't followed through on that as much as they should have done. So, given everything we've seen over the past 12 months, how are companies refocusing their efforts in this area? You know, what are you seeing work well in order to really reframe how we consider our employees?
Yeah, so Ben, in this virtual world, what I've seen the best organizations, and I was talking with a German-based CPG company yesterday, but I've got three things that really stand out from my mind of what you can do in order to show your employees that you care. The first one is doing a team journey line. And what does that mean? Well, it starts with you as a leader. You putting together just a quick slideshow that shares with your team your personal journey through life, as well as your professional journey, and then they can better understand how best to work with you. Now you have other team members provide their journey line. And now all of a sudden you're getting to really know each other as a unit, a cohesive unit working together. Another exercise that I love is the personal brand. I know here in the States, Nike's brand is Just Do It. Chick-fil-A's brand is My Pleasure. Under Armour, will you protect this house? Well, you as a leader, what's your brand? When your employees think about you, what are the top two things that come to mind on the positive side? And then what's the one thing, area of opportunity? I call those deltas. And we do an exercise, a workshop that really allows you to get 360 degree feedback from your team and then provide that to your team so they can understand their brand. And we put that in a Wordle, and you can see the words that are big. For me, imagine it's excitement. Larry is excited. That's in big letters. In terms of areas of opportunity, calm down, Larry, slow down. I've got one other item that's hot fire. It's called the hashtag 3-minute challenge. Every day, find someone in your Rolodex, someone that you're connected with, someone on your team, and take 3 minutes to surprise and delight them. Now, what is that? It depends. I mean, if they're a soccer fan, let's say they're a Manchester United soccer fan, all you got to do is go online, find a picture of Man U. Sorry if I offended anyone else, but essentially send it to them and let them know, I'm thinking about you, thought this might bring a smile to your face. So those are 3 things that you can do that will show your employees that you really care.
Yeah, really interesting. And I like this idea of the, I guess, kind of the personal brand journey. And I guess what that recognizes is this celebrating differences. Do we all need to follow the same model as salespeople, or actually, how do you celebrate the differences that people have, the individual journeys that they are on within a sales culture?
So true, so true. And remember, I don't care if we're in B2B, I don't care if we're in B2C. We're all in P2P. We're in people-to-people, person-to-person business. And keeping that in mind, if you're in the people business, you've got to make sure that you care for your people, you show them that you care. And one size doesn't fit all, unfortunately. Essentially, you've got to tailor and customize your approach to your individuals. These are individual sellers that you're working with. It's our job as leaders to make sure that each individual feels cared for, each individual feels supported, and that's our main job.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, this is good advice regardless of the last 12 months, but I suppose it's been crystallized given everything that we've seen and this remote work environment that we've all been living with over the past year. So I guess, what are the challenges around doing this in a remote setting? And how are you seeing those challenges overcome? How are you seeing this connection being made? How are you seeing the best sales leaders really engage with their teams in a remote world?
Yeah, so needless to say, Ben, this is tough. I mean, not having the physical interaction, not being on the sales floor where you have that energy, you have that excitement, you really have that feeling of getting to know people. It's tough in a virtual world, but the best sellers are getting creative. They're putting their thinking caps on and they're saying, you know what? This is an opportunity. So yes, anytime there's chaos, anytime there's confusion, is it tough? For sure. But now let's put our thinking caps on and figure out ways that we can not just adapt, but that we can thrive in this virtual environment. I ask all the leaders out there, when was the last time that you wrote a handwritten note and mailed it? I guess you call it the post, put it in the post and sent it to your sellers. If you're not doing that, I recommend that you do that right now. You send a heartfelt letter to them. Why not send a heartfelt letter to their partner to let them know that, hey, I understand that this is challenging and I just appreciate you supporting the seller. So it's really about, I mean, we're sales professionals. We should be the most creative of the bunch. And if we seriously sit down and think about and we treat our sellers as if they're prospects, and we think about how can I delight? How can I surprise? How can I support? We can come up with some fantastic ideas. There's not one size fits all, but if you're doing something different, if you're separating and not just doing the bare minimum, not just doing what's expected, I call this providing an A+ experience. Ooh, dynamite.
Absolutely. And, Larry, we had a really interesting session come up yesterday that touched upon this idea and actually posed the question: have we lost some of the fun of particularly B2B selling in this remote environment? And actually, there was a school of thought that thought maybe some of the fun had gone out of it. The thrill of discovery, the thrill of interacting with people in person, the thrill of being part of a team in a physical environment and pulling together and getting that energy in the room together. So I guess, how are you seeing fun and the joy of selling being introduced in this new world? Firstly, in this remote virtual world that we found ourselves in, but secondly, as we look towards maybe developing a slightly more hybrid future where we might be, where the nature of sales is changing.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to pull out the gold mic. You just pulled out my middle name. Come on, man, fun. We've got to have fun. I mean, I'm looking out here and I got to ask some people, why so serious? Life is supposed to be fun. I think the millennials, they call it YOLO. You only live once. Well, guess what? We've been on a yo-yo. We've been going up and down. So once again, you got to get creative. And yes, I'm pulling out props. I got the pink bat. I used to play baseball. I think y'all call it rounders. But essentially, people like to have fun. They're watching Netflix. They're watching sports on TV. People are people. So you as a leader, it starts with you. And yes, we've got targets to hit. I understand. I'm a sales leader. I know we've got to hit numbers. But in addition to it, we've got to help our people learn and grow. We got to help our people have fun. And if you're hitting numbers, you're learning and growing, believe you me, you're going to be having fun. But once again, you got to step out of that box. You got to stop doing what you've always been doing. I think, I don't know the definition by Oxford or Merriam or Webster's, but essentially, you've got to step out of that box and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Whether that's some sort of movie night, whether it's a book club, whether it's a watch party for your favorite sport that comes on TV, something to bring that team together, that cohesiveness where you can replicate. And there's no replication to being in person in the office, on the sales floor, out on sales calls, but we can certainly get close. And my question to you is, what are you doing? And if you're not doing anything, start right now. You got to take that first step to do something to change it up. There's a saying, and it goes, if it ain't broke, normally it says don't fix it. But I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna give you the remix. If it ain't broke, break it. And if you haven't been broken over the last year and a half, you're better than me. You got to break it up. You got to shake it up. You got to flip it upside down and figure out a new way, especially as we move forward. And you mentioned it, we're moving forward to some sort of hybrid where we're going to be part remote, maybe part in the office, but who knows? I mean, it's a coin flip of what the future looks like. But what we do know is that we're still in the people business. We should be in the fun business. And if we're not, we better make a change right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the starting point for shaking it up should absolutely be getting a gold microphone of your own. Everybody get a gold microphone, folks. That's the way to start. Okay, listen, you kind of referenced it there. What are perhaps the implications of not taking this change? You know, because we do need to embrace different ways of doing things, different mindsets, different ways of approaching things, because the environment, the whole environment, and that includes on the customer side as well as on the seller side, has changed.
Yeah, the implications, it's not good. Like I said before, the race for talent, it's now you've broken down the barriers and the borders where the most talented sales professionals are coveted. And if you don't believe it, just watch. There's going to be a lot of free agents that are going to be taking their talents to other teams because they didn't feel supported. They watched their leadership and they didn't believe that their leadership had their best interests in mind. So I encourage you to start right now to make sure all of your employees, all of your sellers feel supported, feel that you care. And the best way is not to talk it. I tell my wife all the time, I love you. She says, well, show me how much you love me. And you can show me by doing the dishes, by taking out the trash. So I encourage you to show, or else you might lose some of your best talent. There's also, how are you handling, this is a question, how are you handling the return back to the office? Are you ensuring that you're listening to your reps and you're understanding where they're coming from in regards to what that next step looks like, that hybrid model? Are you supporting them and their families? Remember, we're all being impacted. I don't care if you're a newborn, I don't care if you're a centenarian. This pandemic in this last year and a half has had an impact on each and every one of us. Something else to think about is diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're all different people, all different backgrounds. And when you do that journey line, you can start to understand the backgrounds of your people to the fullest. And now you can get an idea of how best to interact. So you asked me the ramifications. If you don't take care of your people, you don't create an environment where it starts with you as the leader. You don't create an environment that feels fun, that feels supported, that feels challenging. Best sales professionals want to feel challenged. They want to feel like they have an opportunity to succeed. They want to feel like they're part of something special. If you're not providing that, ooh, watch out now. Watch out. I mean, I know I talk to companies each and every day, and I can tell you that talent race, ooh, it's heating up. So I encourage you, please, I can't stress it enough. Make sure you're doing the right things to take care of your people so that they feel that they're a part of something special and they don't want to look elsewhere. It's kind of like clients. We take care of our clients. Well, our sellers, they're our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And you referenced the key thing there, which is, I guess, this idea of listening to the employees and actually understanding their needs, their desires, their concerns moving forward as we're maybe transitioning to whatever this hybrid future looks like. What techniques are you seeing work well in terms of surveying your employees, reaching out to them, working with the reps to get closer to their understanding?
Hey, Ben, I'm going to pull out the gold mic again, but for a different reason. And my theme for 2021, listen closely, is shh, listen. So we know as sales professionals, sales leaders, that discovery and listening, that's why we have two ears and one mouth, is that we need to take this gold mic and get it from in front of our face and get it in front of our employees' face. And we need to make sure that we listen, we actually listen. We put down the phone, we put down the other distractions, and we're in it. Because if our employees feel like they're giving feedback and we're on our phone, we're kind of thinking about this and that, no, that's not going to do it. So I need to ask, I need to have a heart-to-heart conversation, and I need to create really an environment of trust, an environment of open dialogue where my employees feel comfortable talking to me about everything that's going on. How are they really feeling? And then we have that dialogue when I listen. When you listen, it's amazing what comes out. I mean, I always say that if you ask the right questions, the prospect will give you the path to the order. It's the same thing with our employees. If you ask the right questions and you hush and listen, oh my goodness, you're going to get so much information. And as you survey all of your employees, you're going to start to see themes, and you'll start to get buckets of certain employees that are dying to get back in. Other employees who say, hey, I kind of want to go in a little bit, but I also enjoy working from home. I'm so much more productive. And look at the numbers. So it really comes down to us being great leaders. And really, one of the most important aspects of leadership is listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Does that put a greater onus of responsibility on the first line sales manager? And actually, is their role changing to be much more of a people, an empathetic people manager, as opposed to a performance manager?
I mean, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I believe that has always been the case, but this pandemic, this situation has only heightened it. It's only really brought to light how weak some of our leaders have been. We've had some folks that, let's keep it real, they've been sliding by. And when things are going great, when things are on the up and up, you can kind of get away. You can kind of get away with some flaws. Now we're getting back to the basics. You used the word empathy, which I think that was the word of 2020. We should have always been empathetic. Come on now. It's not like this is brand new. Oh, now we should care about our people. Now we should think about it from their perspective. No, the best organizations and the best leaders have been doing this forever. But now, essentially, if you're not doing it, it's like, uh-oh, you're caught out there, and it's not a good thing. It's like, ooh, I got to step my game up. So I just encourage each and every one to go out there and work hard. You can figure it out, but you have to break your mindset. If you're part of the mindset of being insane, which is doing the same thing, expecting different results, there's a great book, What Got Us Here won't get us there. And that's what we're finding right now, that what got us here and allowed us to have success before, that's not going to allow us to have success in the future. So we better keep innovating. We better keep finding ways that we can improve and take our game to that next level.
Yeah, Larry, you mentioned this idea of the war for talent, and of course that is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity as well. So how do you capitalize on that opportunity? As you mentioned, I think there is, there's a war for talent, but there's also a lot of good people out there who are perhaps unhappy where they are, who are perhaps not feeling recognized, who are not achieving the levels that they could do. So how do you capitalize on that opportunity and actually bring them to your own organization, strengthen your own base?
Oh, goodness. I'm a big believer that top sales professionals know other top sales professionals. And there's a saying, your network is your net worth. So I'm always networking. I'm always having conversations and finding out, hey, what's the top 10%? Who's the top 10% within your organization? Who are those sellers? And just having conversations, because essentially, if you have the conversation, folks will let you know, yes, I'm a top seller, but no, I'm not happy here. I'm looking for a different opportunity. And just to give the foundation, what I look for epic qualities in sellers, and that's EPIC, entrepreneurial spirit, folks that take ownership, preparation and planning. Are they practicing on their craft? Internal drive and desire. We all get hit with obstacles. I need those that find ways over them, find ways around them, find ways under them. And if they have to, find a way right through it. And then C, I quadruple click on the C. I look for folks that can communicate well. And that means that they can listen very well. I look for people that care. Do you actually give a damn about what we're doing? Are you all in? Are you on board? I look for folks that are curious. I think they say curiosity killed the cat. The best sales professionals and the best people in life are curious. And then the last one, it's really having that confidence and being courageous. There's a comedian, Kevin Hart, that says, say it with your chest. So those are kind of the fundamentals that I look for. And I also look for integrity without compromise, doing the right thing when no one's watching. I also want people that have a good attitude. Because if you're a negative Nancy, I apologize if your name is Nancy, or if you're a negative Nelly, ain't nobody got time for that. You're going to bring the whole team down. So I need folks that really understand teamwork makes the dream work, and they're all on board. Not just the me monster, not just me, but essentially us and we. So I'm looking for those in other organizations and just having conversations. Hey, talk to me to see, is there an opportunity for us to be working together? Because I could take what you have on my team.
Yeah, absolutely. Larry, I started out today. I appreciate it was early for you. You were probably in bed, and I don't blame you for that. I wish I was still in bed at that time too. However, I started the day off by talking a bit about habits and forming habits. And apparently it takes 21 days to form or to break a habit. Only 21 days, not long. And of course, we've been in lockdown and living with the pandemic for a lot longer than that. So we've already started to form new habits. How do we ensure those habits are the right ones? And what habits should we be forming in order to move forward and to progress and to do well in the future?
Yeah, so I mean, we've got a test, and I'm a big believer in looking at the data. Like I said, I'm a former baseball player, and we always kept track of our stats. You know your batting average, you know your win percentage. So essentially, the numbers, I won't say the numbers don't lie, because you can fudge the numbers. But I'm a big believer of going ahead and looking at what are the outcomes that we're accomplishing. Are we actually following the process wholeheartedly? And if we're not, sometimes you got to make some pivots. Sometimes you got to make an adjustment to what you're doing. So you're absolutely right in terms of habits. I'm going to encourage everyone that it starts right now. It starts with that first step. And like you said, 21 days, that's amazing. I'm writing a book and there's 7 chapters and we're providing 3 tips, 3 things that you can actually do over those 21 days to take your game to the next level. Looking at the stats, that's the best way to understand, are we having the effectiveness? Are we being efficient with our time, our energy, and our resources, as well as just getting feedback? So, I mean, it's both quantitative as well as qualitative. Now, I think you asked, what are those habits that we should be doing? I'm not going to muddle it. I'm not a genius, which is why I'm in sales, because it's very basic. If you follow the basics, you care about the other person, you have a spirit of growth, a growth mindset, and you want to solve problems. I mean, it comes down to my definition of sales. We're playing matchmaker. We're matching our product, our service, our thoughts, our ideas with someone else's needs. And they might not know their needs, their wants, their desires, their challenges, their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations. And if we're able to make that match, guess what? We're going to have a lot of success. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to help a whole lot of people. So if we just keep it to that basic fundamental, for me, definition. And I also think that sales is a transfer of energy. And you don't have to have dynamite energy like me. That doesn't work for everybody. But essentially, if you truly care and you truly believe that you've got a solution to others' problems, oh, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Larry, many thanks. And I kind of love this idea of the growth mindset. Is that something you can coach? Does somebody have to have a growth mindset? Or actually, can you train a growth mindset? And if so, what are the keys to training that?
Yeah, I believe you can train it. I mean, maybe some people are born with it, but I certainly believe that having that growth, that learning mindset can be trained and can be emulated. And it really starts with the leader. I mean, my question to you as a leader is, what books are you reading? I mean, I just got this book in the mail from a coach that I spoke with 2 weeks ago, the Leadership Playbook. He's a basketball coach. What podcasts are you listening to? What action items are you taking out of that? And are you sharing it with your team? Your team looks up to you, whether you know it or not. And you're having an impact on them, either on the positive, which I hope so, or on the negative, which that's no bueno right there. So essentially, it starts with you creating that environment, setting that example of, hey, we're going to learn and we're going to grow and we're going to share what our key learnings are. And most importantly, we're going to implement not everything. You can't do everything that you learn, but we're going to test certain things and we're gonna report back to share, hey, here go the results, here goes what we thought, here goes what we experienced, and here go the results. Survey says, nah, we're not going to do that anymore. Or, shoot, this has been phenomenal, let's go ahead and spread it out across the organization. So really, it starts with you as a leader. What are you doing to take your knowledge game to that next level? We used to judge our reps in 5 categories, and there were 13 total subcategories. But essentially, I want to know your growth, your knowledge in terms of the company, the who, what, when, where, why, the how, the mission, vision of our company, the industry and/or industries that we serve. Number 3 is the product. How well do you understand our product inside and out? Number 4, the tools and resources, the internal tools, our tool stack, our sales stack that we use, but also the relationships that we have internal and external. And then number 5 is selling skills. How well are you from the very start to the very end of the sales process in terms of running the plays that we need to have success?
Larry, we've talked a lot about some of the softer skills and maybe the attitudinal things that you need to succeed in this changed environment. What are some of the harder skills that we need? You referenced this idea of data, using analytics. What are some of the harder skills that you're seeing be essential for success in this new world?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take it to the basics again. Time management. It starts with time management. Show me your calendar, and I can pretty much tell what's a priority to you. I'll go with pipeline management, essentially looking at reps, at least from what I've experienced, the reps that I work with, there's a lot that are spinning their wheels with suspects and not real prospects. So essentially, if you're spending your time with folks that aren't ready to buy now, there's opportunity costs. And we all know this, but how many of us are practicing this on a consistent basis? So time management, pipeline management. I'm also going to go into prospecting. The cure for almost every sales ill is a big fat pipeline. How big is your pipeline? And are you constantly building that pipeline, or is your pipeline dwindling? You've got to be building the pipeline by prospecting all the time. Discovery. How well is your discovery? Are you giving the microphone to your prospects? And most importantly, are you listening? And then are you able to tie in what they shared with you? And then the last thing is closing. If you do those 4 things that I just mentioned, time management, pipeline management, prospecting, and discovery, the close is just a natural progression. But essentially, how well are you executing the nuts and bolts? How well are you executing and running the plays on your discovery? How well are you in terms of managing your pipeline and making sure that those suspects, they got to go. Those prospects, I'm giving them my undivided attention. I'm working them through the process. We're making progress to the close. And then prospecting. Are you constantly prospecting? The best sales professionals that I know, they're always prospecting, always looking for opportunities.
Great stuff. Many thanks, Larry. So one final question for me, then I think we've got a question from the audience. So I guess what for you is the kind of the key thought you want to leave people with in terms of, I guess, the must-do item as we progress through 2021, as we start to think about what the future looks like, this changing world, this hybrid world. What is your key piece of advice?
Yeah, if I could only pick one, I got a lot of stuff going through this crazy mind of mine. The one most important thing is that it starts with you as a leader. You got to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I all in? Am I serious about my craft as a sales leader? And if I am, what does it really take to be, I'll call it an MVP. I'll call it a Hall of Fame sales manager. Chances are that whatever you're doing today, there's an opportunity for you to step it up and take it to that next level. And my question to you is, what you gonna do about it? No, it ain't doing. We all know that we should be doing these things. That's common sense. But one thing I found is that common sense isn't always so common. So essentially the question is, the parting question, what you gonna do about it?
Love it, Larry. Every day is a school day, as the learning never stops. Great stuff. So I think we've got a question from the audience. I'm going to go over to Enrico from Tata Communications. Hi there, Enrico. Lovely to see you again.
Hello, Ben. Thanks again. And Larry, thanks for joining us today. I think if anyone was sleeping, now we are all woke up after your speech. So thanks a lot for that. And seriously, I mean, there has been a topic we have been debating since yesterday among us. And here's a question for you. So you're giving us your recipe as far as great seller is concerned. And you mentioned Epic, EPIC, and so on. And the question is, whatever made a great seller a great seller 18 months ago, before the pandemic, is it still there, or on the back of the pandemic, shall we look at some different skills, experiences, or characteristics that now are needed more than ever on the back of the pandemic and the shift from in-person selling to remote selling? Thanks, Larry.
Oh, I love it. That's a great question. And I'm going to share with you my opinion. The core fundamentals to being a successful sales professional, they remain. I'm going to add, I know I had 4 C's. I'm going to add a 5th C, creativity. I need sellers to be creative, to be flexible, to be able to change and adapt their game, their profession to the environment. So if I was completely outside sales, I was going to trade shows, I was meeting with my prospects, developing relationships in person, and now I don't have that, what am I doing? Twiddling my thumbs? Or am I call it FITFO. I need people that can figure it, the freak out. FITFO. I need people that will FIDO. That's not the name of my dog, but essentially they'll say, F it, drive on. We're going to get hit. This pandemic it's an obstacle. But essentially my best sellers are able to creatively think through how can they adapt and how can they still be at the top of their game of meeting the needs of our prospects. And now our prospects, to answer your question, the answer is yes and no. Essentially, the core fundamentals remain the same, but I also need people I need reps that are on a different level, on a different wavelength of being able to really listen to what the prospects are saying, really listen to what the clients are saying, and be able to connect the dots now more so than ever. And I'll be honest with you, I think before 18 months ago, I think there were a lot of mediocre sales professionals that were getting by because the market was hot. Most markets were hot. So you got folks that it's kind of like a false positive. They're doing great, but it's not because of them. It's just they're kind of falling into it. Now we're really separating the good and the great from the rest, and the rest doesn't look all too good. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm happy to chat about it. I think that it's both yes and no.
Thanks, Larry. No, it does answer the question. Thanks a lot.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Many thanks for the question, Enrico. Larry, that is all we've got time for today. A pleasure, as always, chatting with you. Thanks for bringing so much energy to the final session of the day here. As Enrico said, gets the blood pumping for everybody and provides some real inspiration. So many thanks. Pleasure seeing you. You take care, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Take care now.
All the best, Larry. Take care. Wonderful stuff.